Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mr. Smelly Fragrance Review channel. So, part of a new series I'm doing today, this is going to be called the series about all-time classic fragrances. As the world, or much of it, is now in lockdown, including the UK here, a lot of us are stuck at home, so I thought I'd pump out a little bit of extra content. No intros in these, just to make them a little bit quicker and easier for me to get up. Maybe I'm going to do one nearly every day or close to, as well as my normal fragrance review full-on videos with the intros and stuff. But these ones are a little bit more simple in the way that I do them, and you'll just be seeing the bottles from a few different angles and not my face, which could be a good thing. So before we get into the actual details about this lovely fragrance, which I consider a modern classic, let's just find out a little bit more about the house of Hermes. So Hermes is a luxury French goods manufacturer, first established way back in 1837. Just getting a little bit of a close-up look of the bottle there. It is very fetching indeed. They originally started off making harnesses for horses, catering to the noblemen and women and the elites of Europe in Paris. They, by 1880, had moved to their current home, 24 Rue de Faubourg, which is where their flagship store still is to this day. They have been pretty much synonymous and famous for specialising in snazzy leather goods of one kind or another, and they still have a lot of iconography to do with the world of riding and horses and that kind of thing. By the early 20th century, they had branched out a little bit, though, handbags and that sort of thing, scarves, so I'm sure many of you are familiar with their luxury products. And by 1949, they released their first perfume onto the world, and that was Eau d'Hermes, which I think was aimed mainly at ladies. Along in 1961 came Calèche, another really classic, famous female fragrance perfume, and that one is, of course, still on our shelves today. Since then, we've had quite a few famous and well-renowned male fragrance releases in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. There's Bel-Ami, Equipage, and Rockabah. More recently, a famous female release, of course, was 24 Faubourg, which you can get in eau de toilette or eau de parfum form, and numerous flankers. Let's get on to the one I'm actually here to talk about today then. Of course, Terre d'Hermes, really definitely the flagship masculine fragrance now from the house of Hermes, and hugely successful around the world. There are numerous flankers to this now. We're talking about the classic eau de toilette from 2006 today. In 2009, they brought out Terre d'Hermes Parfum. Don't forget, if you'd like to join the Smelly Army private members club over on Patreon, there's a link in the description to do that. It costs just $2 a month, and you get an extra video from me every week, plus you get to watch everything I've already uploaded in there. We're building a really nice community, lots of interaction, and I'd love to see you in there. And by the year of 2014, we had an Eau Très Fresh, which is a slightly fresher version, as you would expect. And in 2018, they brought out Eau Intense Vetiver, which is another well-respected flanker to this lovely eau de toilette. So, what is this fragrance all about? Terre, of course, means earth in French, and this fragrance does definitely have an earthy aura about it. In describing the fragrance, perfumer Jean-Claude Ellena said that his kind of description of how you would feel, or how he wanted to make you feel, is this: feeling the earth, lying on the ground, gazing at the sky. Okay, interesting, yeah. By the way, of course, Jean-Claude Ellena, a hugely respected perfumer. He's also created things for Cartier, Frederic Malle, and Acqua di Parma, but since 2004, he has been the main perfumer at Hermes, and that is what he's mainly famous for now, arguably. So the notes on this fragrance. In the top, we have grapefruit and orange. In the mid, we have gunflint, interesting, peppers, pink peppercorn, geranium leaves, patchouli and bay rose, and in the base we have cedar, vetiver, and gum benzoin, whatever that is. Apparently also it was inspired by the works of the author Jean Giono, whose work I'm afraid I am not familiar with. This is a lovely, excellent all-round fragrance. I've only recently actually acquired it myself, and I'm not quite sure. I did have this kind of clone of it, which was Yardley's Citrus and Wood, which does smell remarkably similar and was really nice, and so I just never kind of felt moved to get round to buying the actual real thing until my bottle recently of the Yardley one ran out, and they are markedly similar, but this is the true original classic release, and so glad to have it in my collection. So the fragrance is a perfect all-round, any kind of situation fragrance. It's been a huge seller around the world for the brand Hermes. And it's easy to see why. It's classy, it's very versatile, it's got a sort of a freshness about it, but enough warmth to be good for a night out too. It performs reasonably well, I find, in the eau de toilette. Quite a good performer, not amazingly strong, but about right. And it's something that it'd be very hard for anybody to dislike. It doesn't have the kind of youthful, overly modern, cocky, generic smell of some modern things like maybe you could argue Bleu de Chanel or Dior Sauvage. But on the other hand, it doesn't smell dated. It doesn't smell old-fashioned. Maybe it's a sort of a grown-up smell. So perhaps if you're only in your late teens or early 20s, it might not exactly appeal to you, but it certainly doesn't smell like an old dad or uncle smell, and really, really versatile, therefore. The smells that you're going to get out of this one, what do we really get out of it? Well, some people have described it as an orange rolled in dirt, which may not sound like an appealing concept, and I'm sure if you actually did that, it wouldn't smell much like this, and it wouldn't particularly be a great smell. But the concept kind of stands up to me. I think some of the blurb that you read about this one describes it as combining vegetal mineral accords and woods, which is probably true. So you get this very pleasant orangey smell, a sort of dark orange. I get something that almost reminds me a little bit of clove, although that's not listed. And what you also get is a very pronounced vetiver note. And I think the other big player here, which is not going to be listed as a note because it doesn't sound so romantic, is that of ISO E Super, a very highly used synthetic accord which can give a sort of mineral, woody, fresh, pleasant aura to any fragrances, and is used in very high quantities in many, many fragrances that are well known, including Fahrenheit from Dior, and depending what it's mixed with can do all kinds of different things. But you definitely pick up on that accord, which is the only note in the famous Molecule 01 from eccentric molecules. So if you ever smelled that one, you get an undertone of that. So Terre d'Hermes, it opens up with this lovely blast of orange, but straight away it does have this kind of vetiver, woody, earthy undertone. The note of gunflint, of course, you can't get a gunflint and extract the oil of it, so they've clearly mixed other accords, perhaps to give what you could regard as a slightly mineral metallic type accord. That's really there just to fire up the imagination, I think, in the note listing. So it's got a pleasant freshness mixed with a masculine woodiness, good performance, and it's a very, very classy scent. Other fragrances which you could compare it to, well, certainly when it came out, I think it's fair to say it was a slightly unique creation, and that's part of what we're looking for if we give this fragrance the title of being an all-time classic. Since then, there's many things occasionally are compared to this one. You could certainly say Dunhill's Icon in 2015 takes a little bit of the Terre d'Hermes vibe, certainly a lot of that ISO E Super and vetiver mixed with citrusy accords. And there have been numerous other things which have taken the odd leaf here and there out of the Terre d'Hermes book, but this one, you just can't go wrong with it. I think it will stand the test of time. It doesn't smell of any particular era. It's been now, 14 years since it was released, so let's see how that develops. But I think it's not going to smell like it's so 2006 when you still wear it maybe in another 10 years' time. The flankers to it are really nice too. The parfum version, just a little bit deeper, a little bit richer, maybe a little bit more earthy and a little bit less of the oranginess and the citrus, as you kind of would expect from a parfum flanker. The Eau Très Fresh goes in the other direction, a little bit more zesty, a little bit more fresh, even just a hint of the aquatic about it. Very, very pleasant indeed. But for me, the Eau de Toilette is the true classic. The Eau Intense Vetiver, I kind of liked it, but I felt that it was a little redundant, as the fragrance itself, Terre d'Hermes, already has a pronounced vetiver note, and to simply add a little bit more of that didn't seem that exciting to me. But it is a pleasant fragrance, and if it had been a unique new release, it would be excellent. But of course, we already knew about Terre d'Hermes, and it didn't add anything that exciting to me. So, this 2006 release, if you've watched my channel a lot, if you're a regular viewer, both of you, you'll know I like some old classic smells. You'll know I do. I'm a bit of a sucker for my citrus aromatic type scents, and also for my old school aromatic fougères, my old school eau de colognes. This doesn't fall into that category, but it does have a very, very nice, classy, dignified air about it, and this kind of fragrance, you could wear this to work. You could wear this as a night out scent. You can wear it in a romantic setting, but it doesn't come off inappropriate if you wear it in a setting where things are casual and where you don't want to smell too seductive. So it's very, very well crafted. Jean-Claude Ellena really, I think this is the fragrance which is his true masterpiece and made his name. And I think for many years to come, people will still be buying this. It's been a huge seller and a flagship release from this house. So let me know in the comments below if you agree that Terre d'Hermes is an all-time classic. I think it easily qualifies as deserving of that description. I'm looking forward to wearing it a lot more over the coming year, having recently acquired this second-hand used bottle. And I'm going to be carrying on with a few, I hope, videos like this. I'll see how the views go. I'm still going to be putting out my normal content, but I'll do a few like this where I just shoot the bottle and give you maybe about a 10-minute description of what I consider an all-time classic. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project, and I hope you and your loved ones are all safe in this crisis time. Of course, fragrance review videos are not the most important thing in the world at a time like this, but we've got to have some entertainment and hang on to our hobbies and that remembrance and that hope that life will get back to normal and we can enjoy fun things properly again soon. Bye bye. Smelly.